Well, Tyson loses, and then he goes to prison for the rape charge. During this time, you've been training a lot of different boxers, but in 1993, you get approached to train Michael Moorer, who at the time was undefeated and the #1 contender in the heavyweight department. But people were saying that he's difficult to work with, he was moody, he was driving, trainers crazy, he didn't have good habits. So tell me why you started to train Michael Moorer and where that led.
I was asked to. I couldn't have started if I wasn't asked to. His manager, John Davamos, was a good man. Was a good man. He wanted the best for his fighter. There was problems. He had a great trainer in Emmanuel Stewart. Great trainer. He had already been light heavyweight champ. Now he was moving up to heavyweight. And he's going to fight Evander Holyfield, the real deal. And he had been a problem child. He had been a problem where Emmanuel didn't want to train him no more, was having problems with him. They were going to get this shot with Holyfield. They didn't want to blow it. They had to get somebody. But John was, I don't want to say smart enough, because then I think he was smart enough. Because then it's like, oh, you're smart because you get me. So it's hard to just say it that way. But I think the way John looked at it, he was smart enough to understand what Michael was and what he wasn't. He was a great puncher, great athlete, really good fighter. Technically, Emmanuel did his job. But he was also a kid that was fractured in certain areas, and he couldn't remain fractured in those areas to beat Holyfield. He was still a kid that was... There was a reason why he behaved this way. It wasn't just because it was his nature. It was because John was smart enough to see that, maybe not exactly, but along the lines that he behaved this way and was he was against training sometimes and blowing up and walking out in training and not training properly. And all that stuff, getting himself in trouble, basically sabotaging himself. John was smart enough to understand he needed someone beyond just to teach him how to throw a freaking jab from a southpaw position. He knew how to do that. That he wasn't psychotic. Some people thought maybe he's crazy, he's this, he's that. He's always blowing up. I think on some terms, John Davamos deserves all the credit, because he's the one who made a decision as a manager to take a chance on a young trainer, me, and take a chance because what he thought that was wrong with Moorer was a lack of knowing that he could trust himself. How's that? Of knowing that he could depend on himself. Because when a fighter goes in the ring, the most important thing he's got to know when he goes into that place with a real top fighter, he's got to know he can depend on himself. And Moorer wasn't sure of that. He knew he could punch. He knew if he hit you, he could get rid of you. A little bit like Tyson. But he wasn't sure beyond that. And he wasn't sure. He wasn't sure who he could count on besides him in that ring. And he wasn't sure he could count on himself. His father had abandoned him when he was a kid. So he would test people. He would test people where he would walk out of training. And you know why? He wanted to see if you would walk out. He wanted to see if you would stay there. He wanted to see if you were strong enough to stay, if you believed. Like, he's going to walk out, he's going to test you. Now you're going to say, I'm leaving too, or friggin', don't train. I don't care. And you're going to go along with it, or you're going to give in to it. He wanted a test to see. He had to be strong. He wanted to test if you were strong. Not in a way where you could take a punch, but in a way where you could take a risk. where you could be, where you could deal with the threat of not making money with him, of standing up to him and take the threat of not making money with him. And so Davimos took a chance on somebody he thought could get to this. The most important part, the mind. 75% of my business is the mental side. No matter how good you are physically, if you're not right mentally, it don't freaking matter.
So, on April 22nd, 1994, Evander Holyfield versus Michael Moore. Michael Moore wins to become the world heavyweight champion. How did that feel to actually train the world heavyweight champion after being in it for so long and being so close to it with the whole Tyson situation, but, having to leave, and now you're actually behind the world heavyweight champion in boxing?
Cuz told me when I was a young trainer, I wasn't making money, so he had to feed me somehow. So he fed my ego. So he used to call me the young master. Young master! Because I'm in the gym all day long, 7 days a week training fighters. So he said, young master, you're going to train heavyweight champions. You're going to train heavyweight champions. And it just felt like I always felt like that was supposed to be my destiny. I mean, training champions, period. But I always felt like, I don't know if because Cuz said it or because I dedicated myself to what Cuz told me, and I believed him, and I trained fighters 7 days a week up in Catskill, gave everything else up. I don't know. All I know is when that day came, it was like, yeah, it's here now because it was supposed to be here. Like, it finally got there. But it's like, yeah, this was supposed to be, Cuz always said this would be my destiny. And you actually got there. I was lucky enough to have a couple other heavyweight champs after that. I was very blessed and very fortunate, and I'm thankful for everything I've had. But that one was the first one, and it took care of a lot of, kind of like Michael Corleone in The Godfather. A lot of family business was taken care of that night.